Good evening, everybody. On behalf of Ladies Study Group Kolkata, I welcome you all to an exhilarating session with Cyrus Broacha during this morbid season of Omicron. I invite Cyrus Broacha onto the screen, please.
Namaste, Kolkata,
Namaste. Welcome
and
to Ladies Study Group Kolkata, and thank you so much for giving your time.
my
I will.
pleasure. And
I,
Sumita, sorry, can I just apologize to you? You called me 11 times, and I'm half the time I couldn't hear you, and because of this Wi-Fi issues that wherever I go, follow only me. So I just want to apologize. I tried my best, and I have not lied once. Every time it
no,
was the
no.
truth.
Thank you so much. We just played hide and seek, I think. Anyway, I now call onto the screen Yezdi Karai.
Hi, Cyrus.
Welcome,
Hi, Sumita.
Yezdi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for giving your time and agreeing to moderate the session. Let me tell us about ourselves. Ladies Study Group was set up in 1966 by Indian Chamber of Commerce. We have over 500 members. We focus on women's issues and social development. We have some of our committee members, Sucheta Mayor. Please come to the screen. Enu Bala, Mini Juneja, who will be joining in the conversation. Yezdi Karai, our moderator, is a producer, scriptwriter, theater addict, and bad golfer. He will engage in conversation with Cyrus. Yezdi, please introduce Cyrus to us.
Well, welcome, Cyrus, to the show. Actually, you need no introduction. You have a very large fan base in Calcutta. And whatever little people don't know about you, these are the kind of shows that, they find out more. So,
It's Yasdi, it's all there in my Aadhaar card. All the information. I don't withhold any information. I'm always open and transparent. So please, I follow the law everywhere I go. So there's nothing that they don't know about me, including my lack of
see, this is,
earnings and lack of respect for civic society. But please, carry on. I'm sorry. By the way, I
yeah,
might
well,
talk in the
okay.
middle now because it's taken me a long time. All the teachers in class used to tell me to shut up, stop talking. My sister used to tell me to shut up, stop talking. The people in the lane, and then I started getting work just by talking. So now, after doing that, I have to forget my childhood and continue talking because that's the only way I can earn money. So it's been very painful for me, this paradox from start. So please be careful what you say to your children. They'll end up doing the opposite sometimes, and it's an accident completely. By the way, I'm a trained 1 year LLB. If there's anybody in Calcutta who can't afford a proper lawyer, I have done 1 year of LLB, so for small cases, I'm able to help. I'll carry my books and come and, I mean, the court doesn't stop you. You don't have to be a practicing lawyer as long as you have a little interest. Yes, dear, I'm sorry,
Okay,
please.
now I'm going
Yeah,
to interrupt you. And
yeah,
if you
go ahead.
didn't interrupt, you wouldn't be Cyrus Broacha. So,
Yeah, sorry.
welcome to the interruptions.
Yeah,
Cyrus needs no introduction, but I first met, not met, but I first saw Cyrus in his very early days on MTV Bakra,
oh
and
God.
uh, I always, my wife and I always used to sort of wonder how come this fellow has never been beaten up for what he does,
I have.
on the streets of Bombay. You have. Well, you tell us about that sometime later. But
At least four instances.
Cyrus,
Yeah.
so Cyrus, what the audience really wanted to know is you are defined really by the show The Week That Wasn't, which is probably the only show in India that takes a light-hearted view of the serious business of news information. So,
But there are on the internet there are enough people who are taking satire to another level. But let's say they are more non-vegetarian, we are vegetarian, and they get arrested and all that. So at the moment now we're under the radar and we want to keep it that way. And I've been told no mentioning Bengal politics. So whatever happens, if you're going in that direction, please remember it's not my fault then because we've got the rider. It's in the notes.
so anyway, Cyrus, what is the, what is the backstory on how the show came into existence as a satirical take on, all aspects of life? Why is it so successful?
Uh, it's not very successful. It's just stuck there for 15 years. But thank you for all the kind words. Secondly, the two words that defined the show was Rajdeep Sardesai. In 2006, he called me up and said, "Are you? I want to talk to you about this thing that I have in my mind, which is based on the Jon Stewart show on what was then CNN IBN. It was just a year or two old, the channel, and he was like the head of the channel. So this was largely his idea, and I liked the idea. I was working with MTV then, but I said, "Oh, great." Let's try this because one gets to write one's own content and all that, which was the interesting part. MTV, not to over intellectualize the process, but we used to just stand there for about 3 minutes and put a link together about anything. I mean, I didn't even have any interest in the music, so I could just talk about the flowers or something nearby, and everybody thought that was great because it was such an irreverent channel that doesn't matter. And by the way, they're doing that even today with a hard-hitting show called Roadies and Spritzvilla, which has changed the way people have conversations across the world now. They're all in monosyllables. But coming back to Rajiv Sardesai, so he had this idea of a satirical show that had never been done, and he wanted to have that like one edgy program on his news channel. So we have to give him credit at that point. And then he said, "Who do you want in your team?" And in any case, downstairs holding the car because there's no parking in Nariman Point where I went to meet him was Kunal. So I said, I have this guy who's anyway in my house. He's a freeloader. He's always there. We can't get rid of him. He's smelly. He's unfit. He coughs all the time. And at that time it was only coughing. Now it's from all ends. It's very just embarrassing for us to keep him in public, unless of course it's a cocktail party and he's performing. Yeah. So he said, okay, great. So do a little pilot for us, and that's how it started. We did a pilot. Rajiv never saw it, and he put it on air.
Uh, so tell us, Cyrus, this is not like a 2-year show. It's been going on for what, 15 years?
15,
Around 15.
15, 15,
15 years.
15
Yeah.
complete. We completed 15 with a great fanfare and asked them for a raise, and they said, wait another 15. But, I mean, they've been kind to keep us on the air, so can't complain. Yeah, but Yezdi, for most of the time, it's been my it's like the sidekick shows. Only the last 5 6 years that it became the main focus of what we were doing, and we started going daily and stuff like that. In 2014, for 3 years, we did like a daily vignette style, and then we moved back to this. Yeah,
Yeah, but what was most interesting is that originally you
sorry,
started
COVID.
off
Yeah,
as a late night show, and you used to had to run to the TV to switch on so you don't miss it, so because there were no reruns. Now that whole thing is changed. You cut the cord, and I don't bother watching it on TV. I watch it on my iPhone, through your
yeah,
through the
you're right.
Twitter
It's
link or
embarrassing. So it was following the Jon Stewart style. It was all late night, adult, not adult sexual content, but adult content, so to speak. And it was a 10:30 release on a Friday. That was the idea for the first couple of years. But then the world changed. We have the internet, and people just download and see whenever they want to, etc., etc. So this whole thing has changed completely. And sometimes when they have breaking news, like the Prime Minister walks out of his car to cross the road, then they take us out and just play that for the day. Um, so yeah, breaking news. Sometimes it's really good breaking news like COVID or whatever, and sometimes it's like ridiculous stuff. Honestly, it's very embarrassing. But then our show gets canned, but we shoot it anyway.
so. Tell me, Cyrus, how does what happens behind the
Sorry.
scene?
Um,
What happens behind the scenes to produce each week's episode?
but not much. By and large, nothing really. We sit and look at the newspapers. We try and figure out what's on, what's going on. We try and copy from the internet. Sorry, sorry about this. I try to copy other stuff, download other stuff, figure out what's going on. The biggest problem is which story will stay till Friday or Saturday rather.
Hmm.
Sometimes when you have elections, all the stories make sense. Sometimes it's just a normal news week. Your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday story doesn't hold on Saturday. People have lost interest in the story. So then we look at the news and we realize we made a mistake. That happens a lot. I wish we would do it on a daily basis because then whatever we did in the morning would go out and be relevant. But these are the
Right.
problems we have. There's a world change. When we started, weekly made sense because everybody was okay with the week and they'd look back. It was the magazine era. You'd look back at everything over a week and it was fine. But now nobody cares. They can't remember anything. People won't even remember the last series in England, for example, in cricket. They won't remember any of the scores because South Africa happened. It's just 2 3 months ago. So like that, the world changed and we were left behind. So we're still making obsolete programs on a weekly basis while everybody else is churning up stuff on a daily basis. But tell that to my bosses. Unfortunately, none of them come from Calcutta. Or if the lady study group would come into the fore, I would pull some strings, use my influence, and you'll see us on a daily basis.
Uh, sometimes the satire that you put up on screen contains a message of sorts. I mean, you have a take on the news, and then you kind of say something or the other. I can't think of any good examples, but you're actually
Because there
trying to
aren't
convey
any.
a message of sorts in a light-hearted manner. So, is that thought through, or is it just off the cuff, or?
So our skits are basically all more or less written, and so that's pre-written. But the fun I have is that I get to freebie a little during the show, which is it's like the fourth dimension sort of thing where you can get out of the show and talk from outside the show perspective, which is fun. Um, but also, we've got to. So there are two ways of looking at this. People ask us all the time. One is that you can say, "Oh, but this government is regressive and dangerous and holding back freedom of expression," which is correct to some extent. Or you can say, look, this is where we live and we have to figure out a way to communicate. So I think we try to be more positive about it and just try to communicate in our own way. But we try not to get personal. Am I allowed to talk about politics? And I can give you one example. We did
Yeah,
this.
sure.
We did one. There was a movie called Vishwarupam, which you've never seen. Yes, I'm 100% sure. Kamala Hassan film, and it was the same time as in about 2012-13. The Sri Lankan cricketers were barred from playing in Chennai because of the Tamil
Right.
issue, etc. So we had done whenever the issues, whatever we go to the big names there. So Kunal played Amma, and he's played Amma many times, and obviously he makes a horrible Amma who was once a very beautiful woman, and then we just did this thing where basically there was nothing personal. It was about Vishwarupam, her banning the film, her fight with Kamala Hassan, and also the refusal of letting the Sri Lankan players play in the IPL in Chennai. And the only personal comment to some extent was the opening lines, which literally were, "Ma'am, you seem to have lost weight," from me. And her reply is, "No, no, only 10 kilos." That's vaguely insulting. I accept. That's it. But we got a summons from the Madras High Court, not Chennai, like Bombay High Court, not Mumbai. Please explain that to me. I don't understand how you don't. The court doesn't change its name, but we are forced to change our names all the time. Is it Kolkata High Court or Calcutta High Court? Please, somebody inform me about that by the end of the show.
Calcutta High Court.
There you go. And then that's it. I can't call it Kolkata anymore. I'm done. Because you make up your mind. It starts with law. Law is the apex body. So coming back to that, so we couldn't go. There was a summons where thank God they defended us with big lawyers. The lawyers' fees would have cost my son's education in Canada. It was ridiculous. But with the Kaveri waters in the background and all kinds of other issues going on, this small little Chintu Mintu case was filed against three writers in a small channel doing an English show on a news channel, and it was on the front page of Hindu. And you know how I got to see it? I was going to Jaipur to do events for Rajasthan Royals or Chennai Super Kings. Yeah, Chennai Super Kings. And on the plane, somebody showed me this with your name is on the front page of the Hindu. I said, "Wow, finally front page." It says, uh, Jayalalitha files suit against Cyrus Broacha and week that was it. This is not the front page that we ever wanted. The front page can wait. Yeah, so that's those are the few things you have to be careful of. But by and large, we when we write, we are a little careful. But I think of it as a creative opportunity to be innovative rather than see it as a shackled up. You can see it both ways. So many people will tell you that. Yes,
Yeah,
holding you back.
we are not very good at laughing at ourselves, are we?
Well, it's not, it's, I think mostly it's the sycophants. In India, I think there's a sycophant disease, chamcha disease, I'd like to call it, where, the moment you're a powerful figure or influential figure, the people around you start treating you like a god. And then they start misbehaving really more than anybody else. Like, I still don't understand why at Walkeshwar, when the chief minister or the governor or some unknown minister from the cabinet is traveling, we have 7, 8 cars and the sirens are blazing and motorbikes behind them and they're asking us to move around. It's all rubbish. I have no idea. It just doesn't add up all that. It's just ridiculous behavior. So I think really politicians need to reinvent their entire way of performing in terms of the body language and what they're doing, because they try to be all humble and speak about everything from secularism to growth, etc. But they themselves behave like some small time chieftain in tribal area where if you're against the chieftain in any way or he thinks you're in his path, you'll be shot. So I'm a little worried about that. But we keep a
Well,
low
one
profile. I
mis
stay at home.
uh,
Huh.
One mishap in 15 years, not a
No, no,
bad,
there have
not
been
bad
more
deal,
mishaps.
not bad.
There have been mishaps like my once Kapil Dev got upset because we made. See, Kapil Dev is a very strange man. Firstly, I'm a huge Kapil Dev fan and I'm a huge cricket fan, but that doesn't excuse anything. So we did. He was in the news for some reason, and so we did this thing where, if you notice, his English is always a little odd. His Hindi is also very that Haryanvi Punjabi Hindi is very female oriented. They sound glib to our ears, but actually it's full of mistakes because it's very female oriented, the gender. So we just did a whole interview of his, rewrote it, where we make fun of him basically, and he got a little upset. So then I spoke to him because Asdeep was just speak to him also. I spoke to him and I apologized, and he was very nice. Though he gave me a little lecture about how he loves comedy and comedians, but there is a limit to how much, and all that. And yeah, so it is fair enough. My dad also said, "Why are you attacking Kapil Dev? What has he done? Soft target, etc." And also, then we have to. So there have been a few here and there, but having said that, many of them have been very sporting. Chidambaram, for example, 2611. We had 1 year of 2611 on the next year, and CNN had organized this whole thing on at the Oberoi where one of the attacks happened, and he was a home minister, I think then, or he was something. He was there, and I was trying to avoid him because they had put us all in the same thing to sit with these three, four mantris and all that. I didn't want to sit there, and I tried to avoid him, but he caught me out, and I died because he said, "Come here, come here." And very nicely, he told me, "I love your show, and you must feature me again." I was like, "Okay." So yeah, Nitin Gadkari told Kunal in Marathi, "Why you make me look so fat?" As in when he plays him, So they have been spotting. They have been spotting. But I suppose it's just like any other industry. There's some people who are very touchy with sycophants and chamchas, and there's some people who are very sporting. So we've had both. But yeah,
Right.
but
So, Cyrus, 15 years, and automatically the thought comes to my mind. Uh, 10 years on, how do you see the week that wasn't in 2032, let's say?
I'm desperate, Yezdi. I'm hoping that that's why I'm doing the show with the ladies study group, because I know that in that ladies study group there's plenty of what we say in Bengali mula. I hope you understand. And I'm hoping that one of the ladies or one of their rich husbands or sons will come to the fore and sponsor our daily version. Because I'm very keen on going daily. Because I really believe it's damn tough to write news on Monday to Thursday and make it relevant on Saturday, Sunday. And it's so much easier because it doesn't have to have any power on. If I write and shoot by afternoon and release in the evening of the day, everything holds. That story holds. Whatever small story, local story, a Mumbai story, a Cal story, or a pan India, or Djokovic being put back in detention, for example. Maybe in 3 days that he's playing tennis, and it's a pointless exercise. But today would be a great story if I was to put it up, for example. So really looking for that. So ladies, if you can hear me now, please don't log off suddenly and walk out of the room saying "Abhi khana pakana hai." Now's
I
the
think,
time to look at, yeah. Uh,
yeah, maybe we should get this crowdfunded.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't
Yeah.
mind. We have no problem. Yeah, we don't even mind underworld elements. Yeah, yeah.
Don't say that.
But who
Acha,
is an
tell
underworld
me.
element? You can't tell anymore. Yeah.
So, Cyrus, we are in COVID times. What does the rest of 2022 look like to you?
Yes, see, I've given up. So there's the cynics and there are the madmen and there's people like me. I've given up on COVID. As in, I've just lost interest. I'm bored with it. And I've told everyone, just don't talk to me about COVID. No, not your question, but people who go on about, boss, mask, peno, boss, we can't do this, boss, please don't come here, boss, please keep them, boss, social distance. I'm just sick of it. I think now we just, and I'm reading more and more, even in the West, people are saying, enough. You had 2 years of this, now just fight it. If you get it, you get it. Stay home for 5 days, check yourself, and come back out. So the only people who should worry and continue to worry are the ones with comorbid real problems. And you know who you are. If you're fragile in mind or spirit, which is worse than body, please stay at home till it completely passes. But for me, I've declared it over. Please tell the lady study group I have declared it over. They are free to go out and do what they want. Study in peace. Do they really study in the study group? I wanted to ask you that question.
No, you need to ask them that. I can't speak for them.
You won't speak for them. Okay, fair enough. You're a man who's
Then
been
just
married
ask.
many years. You dare put your front foot forward I get it. I respect you so much. What a correct answer
It's
that
always
is.
back. It's
Yeah,
always
you're
back
back,
and
back
across.
and across. Yes, yes. Cricketing parlance. Two Bawas who like sport. Um, Yeah, so I no jokes apart. I'm just saying, enough of this COVID. Yeah, but the people I can't bear. Please, I want to strangle all of them on the building chat groups. They've horrified me from 2020. They just like they many of them have nothing to do. So COVID was a blessing in disguise. I'm talking about upmarket South Mumbai where there are many members of the family who don't contribute to the income and do nothing with their lives or worthwhile. I think after some time, and so this empower them in a little way to just send messages all the time, and the messages were ridiculous. Shut your windows. COVID can come to the window. Mrs. Shah got it in Paris. She's not left the house in 3 months. No, 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 no. So there, suddenly the science of this building community in Malabar Hill is that wow, it's coming through the window because she kept the window open. That's the only way she could have got it. Boom, and this kind of stuff that happens. And then
I agree with I agree with you. I'm for all my sins the president of the building group here, and I think there should be a law that bans building chat groups. It should
and the
be illegal.
forwarding and the forwarding.
Yeah,
And then what happens is once you get on those chats, you can't get out of them. Every day it's a good morning. Not a bloody good morning you have to give to everybody for no reason. People who don't even really exist in your life. And then, if it's your birthday, God forbid, then you got to, there are 14, 15 people who have to be answered individually because they all send stickers and stuff. I'm like, what is wrong with people? If you have lots of time on your hand, watch Netflix. There's so many other things to do. I mean, there's live sport, there's cricket, there's football. I'm talking about the males who are into sport, at least, not that females aren't into sport. Let me take that back. Whoever's interested, there's lots out there. But please, let's ban that. It's worse than COVID. In fact, COVID will go, but this building group and WhatsApps between communities, because how many communities can you have? You have your club community, you'll have your friends community, you'll have your office groups. You have, on my podcast, I've got two separate WhatsApp groups that I have to talk to, and that's work related. I mean, it drives me nuts. I mean, this is just killing me. I can't take it anymore. I wish I was back in the 80s. Can you imagine? In the 80s, if you were to communicate with your neighbor, you'd put your head out of the window and shout, Anup, are you coming to play? That's it. That's all you did. It was never more than that. Now there are 7 WhatsApps telling you 5 minutes more, 3 minutes later, 2 minutes more, I'll see you down. I mean, I can't take it. Please, I really, this technology has destroyed me as a human being. I feel it's a bigger evil than COVID and nuclear proliferation and anything else.
so tell me, Cyrus, one thing. Talking about the future and all that, and a daily show and all that. OTT platforms in India have really multiplied. And we're not talking Netflix, Prime, Amazon Prime, and all that. We're talking about the regional platforms. I mean, you have something called Balaji, you have Sun TV, you have Aadhaar Gujarat
Truth.
or something like that.
Yeah.
And here in Bengal, we have our very own Hoi Choi, which is really like the Netflix of Bengal. How do you see your kind of show, uh, you know, uh, dealing with the competition that you obviously face? Because you do a daily show that's about an hour of time or 45 minutes of time, viewing time.
So as of now, these OTT platforms have not bitten this kind of programming because their programming is all already set piece programming, which they do. They release it for a season, they check it out, whatever. So it's a different style. So we don't come into their bandwidth. Believe me, I've tried. But what can happen is more and more regional language programming in whatever form, which can go on a YouTube or whatever, that could happen. I think that should happen because ultimately you could get a Cal specific, like niche market, which is
Right.
Cal upper class niche market programming news show. That's enough for you to talk about just there, which is just your world. It doesn't have to go beyond that. So I can see that happening. In fact, we tried to do that as well. As usual, all our plans keep failing. But we did try to push that to at least have one. We did a Hindi program for 2 years, but then that was very risky. That was very risky because one thing is there,
Well,
once you go Hindi, there's the traction is much more than what they allow in English because they're thinking it doesn't affect them. The criticisms in Hindi are taken far more seriously. I thought it was my bad Hindi, but it wasn't my bad Hindi. It was actually, so we had to pull out because they became
I
that was
mean,
that was a dangerous period. Yeah,
a Bawa doing a Hindi program in
yeah,
Hindi, I mean,
yeah,
that would be a
yeah.
first.
Yeah. But there's a lovely thing called a teleprompter, and you can practice it and take out the ters and the ders. As long as you don't have to say tardeo, I'm okay. That's a killer. There's a T and a D in that. That's a huge. And in MTV, I had to say that for the first 3 4 years at the end of every program. Write into us because we're still writing in '96 at Tardeo Tulsiwadi Mumbai 4000. So I had to say Tardeo and Tulsiwadi. And I used to. That was the only time I used to. Oh God, do I have to? Can't I just point? Yeah. But yeah, no, but so Bengali such a rich culture as not to mention Bengal politics, but as you can see, how culturally rich Bengal is, because when people from outside tried to overrun the state, they failed quite badly this year. Uh, which just tells you all the richer. Okay, I don't want to say richer because it implies the others aren't. But like Tamil Nadu, definitely Bengal, definitely very strong culturally. So you need that language based programming. I would think
Yeah,
you wouldn't be able to
yeah,
escape that. Yeah.
yeah. A good point. So, Cyrus, let's shift to something very new and very contemporary. And
Is it GST? It's
uh,
been there for 2 years.
that's not new and contemporary, that's new and awful.
Yeah.
So, Cyrus says, I of all the places in media, I was browsing through money control, not because I have any money and I don't have any control over it. I was browsing through money control, and it says one man, many names, television show host, comedian, political satirist, and here's the clincher. You have now become a command that Alexa obeys. Did you know that?
What are you saying? I'll check it out just now. We've just got an Alexa. So if I say Alexa
Check
play
it out.
Cyrus
Check it out.
says,
Check it out. Yeah, yeah.
can you go and check Alexa play Cyrus says? Apparently, it comes on. Alexa, she's correcting my Alexa. Not interested in the whole Cyrus says phenomenon. This is the wife. I'm just telling you. The point was lost. Listen, I remember.
Oh,
I Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
yeah. She's telling you how to pronounce Alexa.
Yeah. So the whole argument, fell flat because I was trying to get her to put it on, but since I didn't pronounce Alexa properly, it's yeah. But
Hmm.
Alexa is a little challenging for me because if I talk too fast, it never, some other song plays always.
No, I
So
find Alexa quite irritating actually. So I was about to go and dismantle it when I said, no, no, let me try and see whether Cyrus Says does come on it. But then I ask Alexa, get me Cyrus Says. I get no response. So money control is wrong. Or
money control
Amazon
is
has screwed
wrong.
up.
How sad. You
Yeah.
built me up and now you've shattered my dreams. I was going to give you my
No,
Sushmita
no,
Sen
no,
moment
no.
here, and now it's gone.
It's not a
Uh,
problem, Cyrus. It's an opportunity. Now you write to
One
Amazon
day,
and say,
Yezdi,
why did you do this?
this is a Manmohan Desai film soon to be made. From this incident, I will become great, and one day you see Alexa will play Cyrus, and
Ah, no
it'll happen.
problems in life here, only opportunities. Acha,
There you go.
Cyrus, IVM is one of the leading podcasts in the space. And by all accounts, you kind of feature in uh, amongst the top 5 or 6 podcasts in the country today. And I go back and I look at podcasts, and a podcast is the 21st century version of the talk radio, right? So like broadcast radio format, which features a host who chats with different guests on different subjects, and normally interspersed with ads, etc. Uh, it requires we used to run even as when in the 50s
When
and
we were
60s, used to
younger, we
listen.
could run. Yeah,
Yeah, we could run.
yeah.
Yeah. Now crawl. Acha. So my point is this now. Why should we listen to a podcast?
No, so the whole podcast, you're right, it came from talk radio, as you very well mentioned. And there are two, three things here. The world is just becoming custom made. That's why I want to make my show daily, the week that wasn't. So because your audience is now all separate audiences, it's not one family sitting around like how we grew up and watching the Ramayana or whatever was playing or the cricket match together. So that's gone. Okay, so it's all so radios also follow that path and it's become well, it's internet radio, if nothing else. And you look for your what you like say you and I like dogs and cricket, or you like bikes, for example. We both like bikes. So you listen to a guy who you like, who does a bike show, and that's all you want to listen to because that's your. I think it's great. So you have general shows like what we do. Our show is basically trying to talk to people who are not that famous but should be, or famous in their field but you don't know who they are. So that's the idea behind our show. Um, So I'm just thinking that ultimately everybody's going to try and find what they like. Even the lady study group, each lady has a different thing that she likes. So then she goes straight to
Sure.
that area, not to a general show where you're waiting on a red FM, you're waiting for your song for 48 minutes while you drive or stuck in traffic. In the old days in Cal, it was horrible. I missed a flight once. So that's gone out of the window, and now you'll be listening to, say, a cooking show by so and so who you like, or a famous celebrity that you follow. You want to listen to their podcast for whatever reason, you do that. Also a cricket podcast, football podcast, even debates on philosophy, religion. I though love listening to religious podcasts to watch atheism fight right-wing religious personalities without taking sides. It's just great banter. It's just great
Hmm.
fights that go on. It's great audio, sort of
Right.
sport.
So I was very touched by one of your podcasts. You featured somebody um, by Wiggles. It was
Yeah, yeah.
Wiggles, Wiggles,
Uh,
Wiggles, right? That was the
Anushka Iyer.
Anushka Iyer,
Yeah,
the girl
yeah,
in Pune who,
yeah. Super. What a
just
lovely,
happened to
lovely.
chance about. What a lovely story that was. And I think that, I don't know how you found her or whether she found you or whether you went looking for that kind of stuff, but that kind of stuff is gold because you don't, it's a heartwarming story. It introduces you to a service that you never knew existed. And I wish there were more of those in places,
So
particularly like Calcutta, where our canine care is absolutely the pits.
no, but there will
So,
be Anushkas in Calcutta. There are animal lovers all over the world. It's just a
yeah,
question of course, this girl is an entrepreneur, so she's everything. Which I love those stories because you don't have to be like a leftist and just philosophically just be left all the time and be more of a humanist. So she's not. She's showing you that you can actually be a big animal carer as well as a great. I won't use the word capitalist. I don't want to start a fight on the show, but a person with a great sense of entrepreneurship and vision. So she's fabulous, great, and such a young girl makes you feel terrible about yourself. I'm 50 years old and have achieved nothing, and then this woman, a young girl in her 20s, so much. Yeah, but listen. I'm convinced that animal loving people or people who love humanity, etc., are the same percentage across the world. I don't think it really differs. It's just a question of them being pushing themselves to take the thing further. So I'm sure on Cal there'll be plenty. Ladies studies group, all those who love animals and are willing to help Yezdi go door to door looking after dogs, cats, pigeons, and very old relatives who are on all fours. That also happens, by the way. Someone has to care for them. We regress as we age in any case. So Yezdi, I've
no,
put it out there. The point is noted.
yeah.
They will get back to you, but not in this forum. People will do it on a private chat.
So I
Uh,
also, I looked at I heard another podcast of yours with this guy. What's his name? Suparn. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Supan is like
and
he's like this genius in script writing, directing, one of those from that area.
right,
Yeah,
right, right,
yeah.
and I'd always read the name, but never meant anything to me. So I think podcast opens up a whole new field of information for people who have the time to consume it. Of course, I'm a retired faltu, so I have enough time to consume everything.
But
Uh,
thank God you're doing that and not building WhatsApps. This is my whole idea is to stop the building WhatsApp, getting the podcast to be more popular. And you've hit the
no,
nail on the head completely when you mentioned Suparn, because Suparn Verma is exactly that guy. He's the creative force behind Family Man who nobody knows. They all watch it or
right,
whatever, but they have
exactly.
no idea that Family Man is this guy. And many other films after that and in the pipeline are many more. So he's very much that guy. And that's the end of the podcast is the unsung hero, the guy you don't know about, but who's really good at what he does. So one of because otherwise it's just Yazdi. If you look around in India, we have this terrible formula of 10 famous cricketers and 10 A-grade actors and maybe two or three super rich industrialists or something. Those same people are put together in a box and they are featured in every show. I'm not trying to quote Karan Johar, but I mean, after some time, it's like we know all the answers, we've seen all the questions. They just change the outfits, the same people come back. It's 1.3 billion people. Many of them are highly interesting. So let's go find those.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
that's the idea.
Yeah.
Look, when you're
Yeah.
at the airport and
So
you're bored in the old days and you're trying to kill time, you're waiting for your flight and all. I've had some of my best conversations with strangers. You bond in an airport when there's a delayed flight because the frustration and anger is similar. It takes over the room, and then people look at each other and you start becoming friends with strangers. And I've had some really nice conversations, with people like that. So the whole idea is to find, and then suddenly you find, oh, this guy, he looks after dogs in his spare time, but he's also the head of two of the largest brands in India. So that dichotomy that is also fascinating about human beings. You can be this and you can be that. All these things fascinate me. I love them, except for the building
so
chats. If you take nothing from this chat, except that stop your WhatsApps and forwarding WhatsApps and greetings. No greetings, greetings, and no happy birthday. I don't need happy birthday. Oh God, New Year, Diwali, all these, Christmas. Those are the most dangerous times. You want to put the phone off because everybody you don't know sent you a message. Everybody.
My 2022 resolution is to delete as many group chats that I can or get out of, just waste too much time. So tell me, Cyrus, how do you promote your podcast? Because a lot of people don't even know you do it.
I
I actually stumbled on it by accident
That's the only way.
because
By God's decree. No, I'll tell you. So IVM does everything. I should do more, but I have one guy who runs my internet. Unlike Kunal, who's very hands-on and likes doing all this, I can't bear going on Insta and talking to people and indulging all day. So that now is being handled by somebody who then occasionally sends me for approval. Sometimes just does what he wants. But IVM has their own marketing team. It's owned now by a company called Pratilipi, which is a big company in Bangalore. So they've got their own wing, and that's how they find now they're sourcing people because they've got a bigger bandwidth to find people, which is great. Hence, we get the Anushka Ayers and all. They also know my kind of areas that I like dog care, pet
Mhm.
care, or someone in the a script writer. He's initially Suparno, you mentioned, was initially a script writer.
Yeah,
That's
he
how he
was a
started,
scriptwriter.
but
Yeah.
actually his actual start is his love for comics. So his whole story is beautiful because we used to be told not to read comics by our parents all the time. This is bad literature. But without those comics, he wouldn't be the brilliant mind that he is today. Twinkle, and I'm talking about Indian comics as well. Huh? I don't know if you remember Twinkle, Tinkle, and all these. So
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah,
Not only do I remember the comics, but if you look at the present OTT platforms like Netflix, just look at the amount of the number of shows they've patterned or borrowed the concept or even executed the concept from Marvel Comics, for instance.
yeah. So
So,
sorry, go on.
yeah, yeah, sorry,
No, no.
you go.
The one criticism I get is I don't listen, so I keep saying sorry now. For the last 1 year, I've been saying sorry like it's my marriage. Oops.
Yeah, and I'm not used to hearing you say sorry,
Yeah,
Cyrus. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
let's start with sorry about that.
Yeah, but that's why doing the show in the flesh is a lot easier because you can go in to and fro without any problem. But here we have to actually stop and listen to the other person because otherwise the audio just gets in the way. So these are things we're learning on the job, literally thanks to the pandemic. It was scary. The first couple of months was scary because I'd finished talking and other guys also finished talking at the same time. Then you have awkward pause.
So, before I switch tracks and invite the lady study group in for their questions, I've got one question for you.
Hanji?
Have you ever insulted a guest on your show?
Uh, Not deliberately. I mean, that's malicious. I mean, you can't call somebody on and just say, okay, you so and so, whatever. But in the course of conversation, I've had on the podcast, I can't remember anyone being really upset, and we were over 800. But in television, I do have one incident where Govinda was a little upset. But keep in mind that my Hindi and his English, because he was trying to speak in English and I was trying to speak in Hindi. So he also, once the camera rolls, a bit of a people's person is trying to please the other guy. So when you have that personality trying to please the other guy, you're trying to make them comfortable. So in spite of the fact that I was doing my best to speak in Hindi, so he's comfortable. He was doing his best to speak English, so I was comfortable. And in that, he may have misunderstood here and there. So later on, he asked them, "Is it possible to not play this episode?" But it was all fun and games. There was nothing insulting. I can't remember the details though.
Hmm.
But he was okay. And
You know,
I have I've had very strange stories with like Ajay Devgan, for example. He's a lovely guy, and we started talking. But I met him only while shooting for the first time in the 90s, and we're sitting and talking. And before that, it was fine because he was just talking from 1 foot away. But when I started the show, I went into my normal avatar of being like on speed, and I went like, "Ladies and gentlemen, here on MTV, aaj milte hai, aap pesh karte hai, the one, the only, Ajay Devgan. Ajay, welcome to the show." Hi, how are you? And that was the sound level. And then by the end of the show, we are both talking like this. It's okay. I get sure. Thank you. No. That was like a heart attack for me. Lovely guy, actually quite funny and all that, but just his personality is introverted and he stays down like that. You can't do much. So yeah. So give me a Shahrukh or Amitabh Bachchan or one of those because they like to chat. Then you're safe. You don't have to worry because they give it back and You have a great time, and every time you do an interview with a person who likes to talk like yourself, Yezdi, I don't have to worry because I am a chatterbox. You're a chatterbox. There's no problem. We will talk, and there'll be energy in
I'm
the
a
room.
chatterbox.
You talk too much. Your wife has just sent me a message saying, "Please tell me to shut up," and this is official. But here, when you get a guy who's really quiet, suddenly it looks like you're a bully, because you're really loud and talking so much, and they answer. I mean, tell us the plot of the film. Tell us everything about it. What is that fantastic one line that separates this movie from your last film? And it's romance. That's it.
Acha.
So after about five questions, everything is one answer, one word, two words. It was really painful. It was like my first experience of piles. Sorry, ladies. Yeah.
So full disclosure, the reason why I asked you this question is because I did a little bit of research on talk show hosts who insult their guests. And guess what? I came up with one that you would absolutely love. This goes back to 1960, a chap called John Pine in Los Angeles, the talk show host. Whenever he disagreed with his guests, he would tell them, go gargle with razor blades.
Yeah, but
Did you get that?
hello. Yeah, I got it. Although I think Yazdi is
Yeah,
Yazdi's internet.
I'm here.
Are you in South Mumbai, outside Altamont Road? Okay, you're still there, right? Okay. Is it my internet?
No,
My
I'm not
internet's
in
on.
Alibag either.
Yeah. Okay. So far, so good.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
still
Over to
here.
the ladies. Over to the ladies. Yeah.
Yep. Over to the ladies.
Over to the ladies. We've spoken enough. Ladies.
Right? Minnie, you would like to start?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with us today, Cyrus. I have
Pleasure.
a questions from the audience today. The first question goes, what has been your funniest or strangest moment on stage?
In Lucknow, we were doing the Daler Mehndi show. The Mehndi show means 14 shows across 10 cities of Punjab and then Lucknow, UP. And I remember Lucknow because of that. Because after that, going to Lucknow, I was scared. So I was on stage, and this guy comes on stage. There's not too many bodyguards around those days. He comes on stage really excited, happy young man, and he kisses me on the lips and
Oh
says,
my
"I love
God.
you." Yeah. And he just caught
Yeah.
me off guard. Now, when you're the host, you can't suddenly become aggressive and behave like Salman Khan. So I just
Yeah.
like say, okay, okay, thank you, whatever, and go off. But the guys, the way they ripped me after that. But
Yeah.
properly, because he came close and I was telling that one or two bodyguards, let it be, it's okay. Talk, let's handle it. It's fine. He's not going to
Yeah.
stab someone. And he was fairly well behaved, except for the fact that he was excited. He just said, I love you, kissed and moved out. You can't live those down. The Lair Mehndi show actually has so many things that happen. Once, do you remember that one line song of his, Tunak, 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 Tunak?
Yeah.
So he would make the entry from the top of the stage and of course the event company, because they want to make more money, have all these jazzy ideas. So they put him on this elevator thing, what do you call it, trolley basically, but it's a good 40, 50 feet high. And then the curtain opens, or when there's no curtains, it's just basically there, and the light flashes on him. So I will do a big build up saying, ladies and gentlemen, oh Raj, the one, the only, the voice of the generation, ye wo, tari, 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 tari. Sometimes you would make them say the name because they all know it's him. Who's it? Daler, who's it? Daler. So real build up. Who's it? Daler, who's it? Arey, abhi, only men under 40. Daler, only women under 20. Daler. All this we've done. 10 minutes, all this nonsense, rock show style. And then, ladies and gentlemen, you're right. Daler, and they're going mad. And rasping voices. You've got a wonderful voice, whether you like it or not. That's going on there. And it's supposed to descend. It comes to the point where you see his waist, and then it stops. Atak gaya, to use Bombay parlance. Atak gaya, matlab. So I look right, stage right to the guys and say, now what? Because this is, I mean, because it's one thing to kill time, but he's going to be there while we kill time. It's just so funny. So then I have to go to the audience and talk to them and stuff to kill time, and they all, oh God, poor Daler. It took about 10 minutes to get that thing started again.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
and he was fuming. He was so angry. Yeah, so we've had so many moments. I
Funny
had
and
I did, oh, by the way, in Calcutta, I had one of my best stage moments in Calcutta when I was very young. I'd done a play and we'd come here. Don't ask me the hall, Shakespeare Sarang. Um,
Kalaman. Is it?
Kalamandir. Kalamandir.
Kalamandir, of course, yeah. And we've come there, and a guy, like one of the vendors, the set guys, one of those vendors who because obviously they help from the city you go to. We carry the sets by truck, but a lot of the guys we hire from the place, so we don't have to pay for the stay of so many people. Theater is a poor man's medium. So this guy, and this is a very important point in the play where I tell my father that I've got HIV/AIDS, that I've contracted AIDS. So it's a very poignant moment. And Cal crowd is one of your best crowds. I mean, they give it. They're really involved in your production, even if it's terrible. They really give you a lot as an audience. So you can feel, hair crawling and all that moment when he turns in, when my character turns and tells the father, "Dad, I have something to say." And there's silence and all that. And I said, "What is it?" "I've got AIDS." And there's pin drop because there's a little from the audience. This guy walks in and in Bengali asks, "Toilet kahan hai?"
Oh
And
God.
everybody starts laughing. Now, how do we pick up the play after that? I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I think Husi Wasunya, who's a producer, and the other actor, he apologized. He went out of the play for a minute and apologized because we lost the audience. I mean, the guy. But it was from a comedy point of view, it was fantastic because there's nothing funnier than in the serious moment you say something stupid. Like I remember being at a funeral once. This was just during the pandemic, in fact, and somebody's phone. Everybody's quiet. You know how we act at funerals now when it's not very close and you're traumatized. It's one thing when it's not. You're doing a lot of acting, sunglasses, head down, counting in numbers in your head, then politely nodding. Let's be honest, yeah. Come on, we all have to do it. But what can we do? We're not feeling the kind of pain that the real, family members and close friends are feeling. And so while that's going on, one guy next to me, the phone rings, and he's soft spoken like this. Everybody's quiet. There's no noise because it's a funeral. Only 30 people allowed. Phone rings. "Ah, kaun hai? Such hai? Huh?" And
Oh my God.
everybody's like, "What?" Again, it killed the moment. We also giggling. Everybody was giggling. You know, that nervousness is there. It's not like anyone's trying to be mean, but the nervousness of the wrong moment, ka wrong, thing coming together. Uh,
Yes, yes. So you
so
have
this,
faced a lot of strange as well as funny moments
but they're
during
funny
your.
now. Meaning, they're all funny now. They're not funny then. Because, by the way, Daler is angry with me. Like, I'm in charge of everything. Because he can only see me. And I can
Yes.
only see his leg. So you understand? And if I could use Chase Punjabi to tell you what he was saying to me, I mean, you can just imagine. Because after 1, 2 minutes, he's not thinking. He's like an angry animal in a cage. And I'm not getting proper feedback, but I'm still talking on the mic because I don't want the show to stop. So we are
Yes.
trying to act like it's all cool, like don't worry, and making light of it. Then I said, Daler is refusing to come down until you sing a song. I think I said something like that. So go to the audience, and some other guy, mini Daler Mehendi, starts banging away with his vocals, and his group is screaming and shouting, and they're distracted. That's bugging him even more, but he doesn't want to hear somebody else sing. And the guy wasn't too bad, if I remember correctly. The one who started singing, where a lot of people, Indians are, at the end of the show said, "Oh, wo to better tha, yaar." The guy we got just was one of these. Yeah. Anyway, so it's all funny now. We look back and it's funny. Bakra, though, I've had so many awkward moments. You have no idea. Uh, like for example, once I had to pick up. I was driving the taxi, and I had to pick up the customer and take him towards. We had a set piece where I would drive to and all that. But this guy insisted I go towards Andheri. I didn't know how to get to Andheri from Wadala where we were. So I'm like, "Now what do I do?" Because I can't give away the gag. I have to drive, and they have already set up the thing in another lane nearby. So no one was following my car. There was just one car, whatever was picked up with the cameras in my car, and then we took off. That's it. I couldn't physically, because he would have gone. He would just walked out of the car. I wouldn't have got anything. So these things happen. So many stories. There's no end to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So I have another question. The members want to know about you. We do know that there is another facet to the entertainer Cyrus Broacha, which is a highly intelligent, socially and morally responsible person addressing key topics sugar coated with candy. So, what is your modus operandi behind the scenes? How do you work?
The only person who would like what you say is my mom. Unfortunately, she's not part of the study group.
No, but
I,
it's a
I
fact.
think I think you're
Responsibility.
being overtly kind to me. I'm more like an irritated middle-aged male now. Everything irritates me. Honestly, everything is that's my social and moral responsibility. And what I just this pandemic is just exposed to togetherness. Supposed to be social distancing, but we've seen too much of our neighbors, friends, and lane people and colony people, and I'm sure you've been through the same thing. It's just shown you the big boss conspiracy theory is correct. Big brother, as it was originally called, I think. But you
That's
keep
true.
people together and they just get on your nerves. There's only so much we can take human interaction. It's a failed experiment. That's why ultimately the man left the cave. He had to find some other cave. He couldn't stay in the cave with the other men and women. So I don't know if I'm that, but I think the only thing that I will say that I'm guilty of is that I'm a non-vegetarian super animal lover and I have to give up meat. This is my only challenge. Yeah.
So tell us about yourself being an animal lover. How did I
I
mean, share some childhood memories that promoted this
see. I
passion?
believe. I believe animal connection with animals comes a lot from DNA also, because there's some people growing up who just so close. It's sad, and but a lot of it is the what the kids experience. What is that? What is imprinting they call it, right? When you're a child or when you're a puppy or kitten or whatever, the first initial thing. So you see when parents or mothers pull the child away from the dog or cat on the road and all, you just imprinted wrongly. We never had that. I had a father who would go on all knees. My father believes that all dogs speak only Gujarati. So he'll always go, he would always stop and talk to them. Su chales dikra, su joye, su nashta kidu, nati. Okay, 1 minute. Stop, go buy Pale biscuit, feed him. A lot of the Parsis across the country would be doing things like that. I'm sure Yazdi will tell you, as a community, there are some crazy things we've done. Yazdi's
Yeah.
side, either dog lover or bike lover is for sure, as far as Parsis are concerned.
Are
And
you?
his, my dog
Uh,
lovers, okay, we keep the dog in the house with us, also that's fine. But what is the difference is the bike lovers, they keep the bike in the bedroom and they throw the wife out. You can ask him that. This is a true fact. In Kusuma, you'll find bikes in the balcony, motorbikes, not in Tiger Triumph, in the balcony, but they won't dare leave it down. That's how much they love it. You can ask him. I'm not lying. This is not like a lie. This is a fact.
are you a parent? Do you have a pet at home? Do
I
you?
have pets everywhere, Mini. I am proud to tell you, everywhere, including Calcutta, in the sense wherever I've got two dogs who've decided to stay with us here. We have five in Alibag,
Oh
and
my
hopefully we'll
God.
have many more. Everywhere I've gone, I've fed dogs, patted them, interacted with them. That's and all animals. I'm not a like my wife wants to get rid of pigeons because they cause trouble according to her. But I pigeons are fine. All animals are fine. No problem.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. There's
And
a
remember,
very
snakes are not a Gujarati word for food. Snakes are
yes.
actually also, animals. So we go out of our way not to kill snakes. Huh.
Amazing to you. That's wonderful.
So let me dive in here a bit.
Yeah.
And the ladies had planned a sort of a rapid fire round, and throw questions at you like darts, just like in the Karan Johar show, but there's no gift hamper. So don't get your hopes up.
I have had
But
to
you got to.
sit I have had to sit with terrorists in Ladakh who turned out to be terrorists. They came and joined the table and started talking to us. And when they started using words like "aapke desh mein" and all that, because they were speaking in some affected Hindi, but it looked a lot like us. But they, as we found out later, they were from some fringe group. So I'm saying I've had these scary moments. I have Iqbal Mirchi in Dubai. I had to go to his damn restaurant without knowing that it was his. And then then he comes and starts talking to me in this Bombaya Hindi and all that, and then introduces himself. And then later on, they tell me who this guy is. So I've met a few odd balls in my life, but the fear I'm feeling now is much more. The fear I'm feeling from the lady study group interrogation. I have to tell you, I'm sweating everywhere.
Okay.
Oh.
They're armed and loaded. Fire away, ladies. He's all yours.
I can't hear her.
We can't hear you.
Yeah, it's on mute.
She's not. No, I don't think she's muted. Hello?
It's
No. But I could lip read you say now. If that's your question, yes. I got that one.
So I tell you what, if why she's
So I have one more
are you back?
question. Uh, I have another question.
Yeah, can you
Cyrus,
hear me now?
Sorry?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
yes.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right, great. Rapid fire stuff. What is satire to you?
What is what?
What is satire to you?
What is satire to me?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have no idea what satire is, to be honest. Luckily, nobody else does, so we continue with our show. And whenever they use these big words, it's fine. We just accept it. What we were trying to do with the show is only look at what's happening in the country and try to put a funny spin to it. But then Arnab Goswami took over, and he's funnier than all of us. So there's no point doing the show anymore, quite frankly. So I think the satire has become satirized in a sense.
All right. Describe a funny tariff card. Describe a funny tariff card.
You mean like in the rickshaw or for anything?
anything, a tariff card.
Okay. The tariff as in Hindi for praise or tariff as in English for
Praise,
pay?
praise.
Oh,
Hindi as praise, which you have used it
okay.
in one of your shows, I think.
Okay. I'd give excellent would be for abusing in public. Super excellent would be for spitting on the roads and being proud about it, taking ownership. Like I've actually had this experience. I told someone thuk mara from the car because he was alongside me. You know what his answer was? Huh? That's it. So it didn't even occur to him that it was wrong. So when these things happen, you just have to give up. This happens with bikes all the time. I tell them one way, they're passing me. He says, malum hai. Like, thank you for the. I mean, and he's not trying to be smart. He's actually just, this is the conversation. Talk about satire failing. So this tariff card is going to be very difficult for me, honestly. Uh, I, I think we'll have to leave the country. Maybe NRIs. The strange thing about Indians abroad, we follow the rules, we follow the lines, we follow everything. And then we come back here and it's again jugad. So, get me a vaccine. My friends all want to get the third vaccine before they started it. It's just amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, your best way to unwind. Your best way to unwind.
When I get an
He's
event
not there.
in Calcutta for the lady study group and they take me to the Taj or ITC, so I get the night to myself, the room to myself, room service, the bath, I put the bubbles in, and I can be completely, there's no sounds of kids, dogs, other relatives, people on the road, vendors, the banking, the infrastructure, the chain. I mean, just that is enough. Now I'm doing events only for peace of mind. I don't even ask how much money or where, whatever, what the thing is. I just want the peace of mind. Honestly, once you went through the pandemic, I'm sure all of you agree. If you can just get some time alone, have an alone holiday a little while, I think lots of people would enjoy that as a post-pandemic option.
True. Your mentor.
Well, that's a
Your
difficult one
mentor.
because, yeah, most of the people around me told me that I'll do nothing with my life, and they've been proven correct. And secondly, including the teacher, I was going through my report card once about 2-3 years ago that my mom still has some of them, and most of them say stop talking, talks too much. That's all true. And I'm thinking, but why did they say that? They've discouraged me from doing the only thing that would have made me money. How could they do that? It's like there's no point in me taking part in physics. I'm not going to build the next ship that's going to go to Mars. Let's face it, Elon Musk is going to give me a job. There's no MBA in the horizon or double MBA or MNC job or anything like that. So yeah, whatever. I don't think I had a mentor, but Pearl Padamsi would be the closest. And I can tell you, do you know who she is? Back in the day, she's done a few movies as well.
Right.
Anyway, so she's a big name. Sorry?
Yeah. She's a theater
Theater,
icon.
yeah. Correct. Exactly that. So I went for the audition for a play called Brighton Beach Memoirs when I was 14 years old. And I went to the address, rang the bell, and the door opened, yet there was nobody there. And then I fell on her because she's so short. So it just opened and I thought there was nobody there, and I just walked in and she was right there. And yeah, so she was lovely. She was always very cryptic and she was encouraging but funny encouraging, which is great fun. Like my first article I wrote, I sent it to her to read back in the 90s again, and she told me, good, but scattered. Yeah, I'll never forget. Yeah, she always had that one way of slapping you. Sorry?
So what is the best prank played on you? Best prank played on you?
Oh my, the very first Bakra plank, because after that I always feel that it may not be, they might be pulling my leg and all this, so I'm a little careful. But two that really come to mind immediately is that very first, in our first 2 weeks of shooting, they did the first prank on me, after which while shooting, we've been all, completely paranoid about self pranks and reverse pranks and all that. So everybody's on their guard. It's scary how we used to work. So what happens is I'm dressed, I'm in a cab, and they've got this whole setup in the cab, which in the front seat, which you can see, which looks like bomb arsenal and all. And a cop comes. Turns out it was a actor as a cop, but he looked like a cop. They had the thing and whatever. And he starts opening. He passes the parked taxi. He goes up and down 2-3 times. I'm telling Vasan, my producer, this cop is looking. What should I do? He just relax. You're not doing anything. You're sitting in a cab. So then the guy comes and looks at the equipment and says, "Wo kya hai?" And I say, "Kuch nahi." That firstly sounds like a lie if he's a real cop, because it's clearly big equipment there with covered in a black cloth. Then he comes and he opens it, and then he starts talking on his walkie-talkie, which is a fake one, saying bomb pada hai, main usko pakda, ye wo. And then I get out of the cab and I start running towards my van because I don't want to go to a police station over this. I was really worried, and that's the first time I abused on television. And so as I get closer to the van that's shooting it, they start driving the van forward, and I'm shouting, Vasan, stop! And this guy's chasing me, and I'm saying, stop. And then I started, the galis started. I was abusing. What are you doing? I had memories of my life being over because I think I'm part of some, bomb threat group or something like that. So that was one. The second really funny one, and this was beautifully done. The guy should have done Bakra instead of me. Like a 15, 16-year-old kid, right to exploitation, how we make kids work. So he was a car park attendant at Kemp's Corner, if you're familiar with Mumbai, where there was this Crosswords bookstore. And so my wife and son or daughter, whatever, had gone in, and so I had to park the car. So I parked the car with this very little parking, but the rate, say, a week before was 5 rupees an hour. So I kept the change thinking of all this. I come out, this guy in his ganji and his shorts is standing there, 40, 15-year-old kid. And I tell him, kitna? And without kitna, I said, but I already took the $5 knowing it couldn't have been changed from 5. He says, 50. So I just lost it. I said, kya pagal hai? Actually, I might have even said, mazak kar hai, literally, but in a serious way. And he said, nahi, abhi to ye ho gaya, increase ho gaya. And so I started abusing and shouting and screaming and all that, through a real tantrum. Pagal hai, last week mein aaya tha, 5 rupees, kahan se 50 rupees, 5 se 50 kaise badh jata hai, 5 se 10 ho jate pehle, and all this nonsense kind of, and I'm shouting at him. He's got me properly. Last week mein aaya tha, 5 rupees, kahan se 50 rupees, 5 se 50 kaise badh. Wow, the echo. He's still coming back. And so he was so nice. He takes a step back, looks at me very deadpan and says, sir, MTV Bakra, jo aap karta hai TV pe, main wahi kar raha hai. And I didn't know where to look. And I felt so, thank God nobody witnessed that. I felt so bad that I felt like giving him $50, just to bribe him to keep quiet. Never mention this. Hit my head. Yeah, lots of
Okay,
fun.
thank you. Thank you,
So,
Cyrus, and I hand over to Sucheta.
Okay.
Yes. Sucheta,
Sucheta, you need to
please
unmute.
give the vote of thanks.
Yeah.
Sucheta, yes.
No, Sumita, let
Hearty
Sucheta,
good evening.
we can continue for a few minutes. Sucheta, go ahead, ask your question. Sucheta, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Should I carry on?
Yeah, go ahead, ask Cyrus a question. Yeah, please.
Okay, maybe after my vote of thanks. Yeah.
No.
Okay,
Go ahead, ask the question.
I can.
Oh, the
I've
vote of
been
thanks.
watching.
You don't know him.
The vote of thanks is a
He
question.
takes thank you enough.
No, yes, the vote of thanks is a
Thank you enough,
question.
yeah.
They're not sure.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's like vote of thanks.
So anyway,
Hey,
a hearty good
let the
evening to
lady ask a
you,
question, Cyrus.
Cyrus, Yezdi, Sumita Di, Inu, Mine, and our viewers. Namaskar. What a fun, light-hearted, witty, and happy evening we had today. Mr. Cyrus, your natural aptitude in exaggeration, incongruity, slapstick, sarcasm, irony, and pun, so may I say, are both intelligent and nerve-relaxing. Surely your caustic wit cuts through the humbug. You did make us ha happy this evening. Thank you so much for being with us. And thank you, Yezdi, for moderating the delightful talk. Over to you, Sumita Di, and thank you, viewers.
I have a question, Sujita, and please don't take any offense.
Yeah.
But are you related to Shashi Tharoor in any way?
No, but I have done my English in Calcutta.
Dekha? That's good enough.
Yes.
Calcutta is the British influence still in
Fair
India.
enough. Fair enough. Point noted. Fair enough. Thank you
Well,
for all those kind words. Thank you.
Thank you, Sucheta. Well, this episode on Lady Study Group Charter, remembering all the great Parsis who have left a mark, the Tatars, Homi Bhabha, Freddie Mercury, Zubin Mehta, and many, many more. Last but not the least, Rusi Modi from Kolkata. Cyrus,
Is it
you are
Jamshedpur?
No,
sorry.
he stayed in Calcutta till the last days of his life.
I've started a war. I'm so sorry. Go on.
Cyrus, you are making a happier world. As the adage says, laughter is the best medicine. Thank you for being with us today. and really, truly a fun-filled evening you have given to all our members. Thank you once again.
My pleasure. Thank you, everybody. And I hope you all have a great weekend. And Yezdi, thank you especially for sitting through all those notes and doing research. You've raised the standard of anchoring. Unfortunately, it's something I didn't want. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bye,
sir.
everyone.
Call you later.
Yes, sir. Bye bye.